Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to start our last talk, so I'd like to invite on stage 10 people. Michał Hajduk, Poland. Mark Schwegler, who was already yesterday in a talk with me. Tomasz Sikora, but another Tomasz Sikora, sorry. Oliver Bauer, Susanna Vogt, that was already here yesterday, Olga Beckenstein, Ksenia Malich, Georg Rasmussen, Hannibal Sad, Ilya Gladstein. And my name is Adriana Prodeus, I'm from Poland, and I'm happy to be here today. How to get on stage? Huh. Okay, do we miss anyone?
Yes, we miss me.
And we have one more hidden guest here. Translator. Margot. Welcome. Okay, Oliver is outside, but he's probably tired. He talked too much already, so we are inviting him when he... when he will be ready, we are here. He knows it. Yeah, let's stay with us. Okay, so the subject of our last panel is cooperation. And you are here because you cooperate and exchange ideas between yourself and between other institutions and people. This is the easiest part, or this is the most difficult part? Definitely it must be the nicest part of our work in culture, to exchange, to be exchanged, involved in exchange. Okay, but before we start our talk, I'd like to ask you to say just a few words. Who are you and who are you cooperate with?
My name is Tomasz Sikora. The second one. Maybe I'll use the Ukrainian transcription, Tomasz Sikora. I'm a musician, sound engineer, producer, founder of the foundation, Hermetic Garage Foundation, and I play with the band, Wrocław-based band named Kabido. We play music, but also make on the border of the arts some videos, multimedia, literature, and very important part of our musician life is cooperate with the Ukrainian artists, mainly with Yuri Andruchovich, famous Ukrainian writer, but also we made projects with Dacha Bracha and Zavoloka, and we played a lot of concerts here in Ukraine and in a lot of cities.
Hi, my name is George. I'm from Denmark, and I run a festival called Click Festival for new media and contemporary culture. And we cooperate with local promoters and curators, or in a national aspect actually, and with different institutions. And well, for now it's actually been mostly Denmark, but we've spread out now. We're working with Furtherfield Gallery in London, who's a great partner. We're working with the Quanta Art Foundation. We've got, I think that's pretty much what's up and running on, so like on the international scale at this point. We're talking to a few people, Fat Labs in the States, and stuff like that. Yes, primarily.
Hi, my name is Mark. I'm from Basel, Switzerland.
I work in a new institution called House of Electronic Arts, which will be opened in 2 weeks' time in Basel. And I'm also part of a magazine called 2,7 for club culture and electronic music. And cooperation, well, with a lot of different promoters, artists, institutions in Switzerland. And maybe there's just one aspect I mentioned. Where our house will be is a new area in Basel, which is has been developed recently, and we're basically neighbors to the Basel Art School with their different institutes and labs. So they're basically right across the street. So this is one of our main partners and a huge advantage to work on projects and research.
It's still the presentation.
Yes, yes, you are asked to introduce yourself again, but in a new way. Who are you and who do you cooperate with?
I'm a networking monster, I would say. No, I really like to, I mean, also in my work and also what we are doing with our festival, it was always a need to look beyond our national borders at first, and also like early in the early 2000s, when we somehow after 4 editions established ourselves or were talking about ourselves as a festival, then we immediately started to say, okay, we have to look on the further east. So we tried to invite a huge bunch of artists from Eastern European countries, and this probably was like the big, in the early 2000s was the early first, I think, big wave, definitely for musicians, and quite a lot of links and initiatives were established at that time. For example, then in Ljubljana, Marko Peljan and Matjaž Manček, also from RX6 label, they started to have a big gathering where they invited especially quite a lot of Eastern, Southeastern European concert promoters, label, mostly of course then rap labels, and festival, the first festival directors like to meet. No, there were people like from Poland, from the Baltic states, from people from Ukraine, people from the former Yugoslavia, from Romania, from Bulgaria. So it was like a bunch of 30 people in 2004. And actually, for me, this start was like then the starting point. I mean, not only that quite a lot of people met at our festival, but also that it triggered a sort of, okay, we also have to gather. I mean, there already was this thing like, why don't we sit together from this so-called Southeastern European region and try to figure out what we can do together, because close neighbors. And from this, it triggered also like all my networking activities that ended in this, not ended, at the moment, this International Cities of Advanced Sound Network.
Okay, we are many of us are here, so average speak can have like 2 minutes, because all of you will have about 6 minutes of talk, and I'd like to get everyone involved because it's a unique chance to exchange everybody with everybody. So please respect.
5 minutes 30 seconds. Huh?
Yes.
And I used to be mostly involved in booking and curating events back in the day. So I was working with my favorite artists from Poland and from abroad, which was great things. For the last 6 years, I'm spending people's money, and mostly I'm last 3 years I'm working on the connections too. Like the managers and the people who are behind the artists are in first line actually right now for the things we do, and we So we're trying to integrate people from the industry in Poland as well as connect them with the people from abroad and work on that.
In which countries do you work?
Well, there's a lot. We are based, our Polish Institute is based only in Warsaw. There's an office only in Warsaw, and we work internationally. So, in terms of music, we used to be involved in the United States. Well, Germany is the first in line. Countries, it depends on the events that are taking place. So there's Holland, there's Spain, there's United Kingdom. There's Russia. The neighbor countries are finally coming to the radar. So the Baltic countries, Belarus, Ukraine, Hungary, Asian countries as well, like mostly Korea and Japan, China, Hong Kong, but also Singapore and India are coming, and Australia is next in line. We also have like short-time destinations like Turkey in this year and Brazil in 2016, but that's already more than 2 minutes. That's a model of culture that I personally prefer the other one, which is more long-term perspective than doing cultural seasons in different directions.
I will talk about
Destinations.
Zuzanna.
I provide the in situ foundation, and of course the most important project is to make a non-evaluation of the sanatory, which one will it be, and is International Laboratory of Culture. So we are looking for a lot of connections, international, because it's the most important to invite international artists. So we cooperate in Poland with Polish and international artists, and we sometimes, when we have support, go to Tokyo and Germany and Israel to promote our Polish artists. So a lot of nationality.
Hey, I'm Ilya Gleshstein. I'm from Ukraine, and I represent the Festival of Film and Urbanism 86, and we are doing our best to make the best festival in Ukraine, and I think we are succeeding in that because we are trying to make some unique experience for our attendees. We care about our audience, and our medium is documentary, is the main one, documentary film and documentary theater as well. We have some panels. And we have our festival in a small city, Slavutic, close to Chernobyl, and somehow Chernobyl context is also our topic, and we work with that, and we do some tours to Chernobyl during our festival. So all of you are invited, of course. About our collaboration, I think we have like 4 or 5 people in this room who we need to collaborate, and as well we do international collaboration. We bring like international films to our festival, and we do also promote Ukrainian films all over the world. We do special selections at other film festivals. So any festival is like a collaboration hub, collaboration center, and we try to make a new kind of collaboration between the people who come at one place at one time.
Hi, my name is Ksenia, and here is Olga. We are the curatorial association named OK Projects, and we provide some cultural projects like as contemporary art exhibitions, educational programs on movies, music and arts, and Land Art Festival, and also we manage some philanthropic programs to support young artists in Ukraine. Yeah.
And also we represent this art center Closer, where night crazy parties unite with some lecturers and some contemporary art exhibitions based in Kyiv.
Hello, my name is Hannibal Saad. I am Syrian American based in Holland. So networking started with myself. I have a different identity. I work as a festival maker now in Holland and Middle East, and we're planning a festival in Ukraine. the topic before was very lively with Oliver and the Danish lady. I hope we have one. Talk less about ourselves. Everybody's very experienced. They know everything about networking and applying and everything. The reason I'm here on the network because I'm networking with 2 festivals in the Middle East. My festival in Beirut, 4 days, and in Jordan and Cairo. We're trying to network also online. Hope I influence people to make this venture because we don't want to also network geographically and time-wise. We want to, because of the problem nowadays with funding and everything, and war and all that. We're trying to break that barrier. So I hope we talk about that. Thanks.
Okay, this is a great start, actually. How to network and how to exchange using new tools, yes, and how to exchange even if we don't have visas or if we can't invite someone to our festival. But the first step would be to find a good partner, to find a good address. So, what are your experiences? How did you find your best partner? Is it a little bit of luck, or social communication? What decide who became your partner? Maybe our Ukrainian.
Yeah, it's a story about our dream that came true, because we worked together in some of art gallery in Kiev, and we had a dream to make independent art projects and to have some place where we can make what we like, where we can make new kind of projects, and for Ukraine and for Kiev too. And eventually we met these guys who made this art center, and they are really enthusiastic about music, about independent musicians from all over Europe, and they love this very much, and we love arts, and that's why we decided to collaborate. And now we have this contemporary art center where we have more than 2,000 people per week, because we have night parties, Saturday night every week, and then we have lectures, free lectures on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. On Thursdays we have jazz evenings. So we have full week for different kind of audience. So our dream came true, and they wanted an art center, they have it. So we have a very good experience to find a good partner to make what we want to. So I have an advice: if you want something, you can get it if you love it. Well, if you open to another kind of and to another people too.
Okay, and maybe I'd like to ask you, Tomek. You've mentioned that you visited Ukraine with your music group and with your music program. What do you think? What common goals can be achieved together for you as a Polish artist and Polish music promoter, and for Ukrainian partner?
I think now this still change. I hope this is a new era of the Ukrainian collaboration in Ukraine, because we start 10 years ago, and there was very hard work to bring some from other country to our art to Ukraine, because there was no partners, no people who want to make it. And of course we found these people, the Agencja Art Pole, And now I see that there is new young people who make this. 10 years ago was completely nothing, almost completely nothing. And this is. I hope the political changes is also changes in culture but always was based on the enthusiastic of the people, but it's not many people who want to make this completely alternative culture, and of course. And without completely no support from Ukrainian government, this is only enthusiastic people, and these people are the most important.
This is an example of a long-term relationship, 10 years, like a really good relationship, I must say. But what is first? Should it be a love for the first sight, like the cooperation with, some partner you choose?
We start with Yuri Andruchowicz 10 years ago in Poland, because 10 years ago, after the Orange Revolution, the writers from Ukraine was very popular in Poland, and they, Serhii Żadan, Yuri Andruchowicz, Taras Prochaska, came to Poland to publish books and etc. and meet with the audience, and we start completely by accident, and we start and Yuri Andruchowicz is more popular writer in Ukraine, and he invite us to Serhii Żadan festival in Kharkov, and this is the start version, and we take audience in Ukraine who likes our music and our cooperating with Yuri Andruchowicz and other artists.
Georg, if you could tell me, how do you choose your partner? On what basis do you decide, okay, this is a good institution, or this is a good curator, I'd like to work with him? How do you decide?
Here it is, yeah. Okay, it really depends on what the partnership is about. I think with Click Festival, which started as a little thing and has 5 different programming lines. One is performance, one is music, one is art exhibits, there's talks and workshops as well. So there's really a lot of different collaborations. Some are of a more cultural, political nature. Some are with institutions where there's a similar goal, or you work within a similar field, and some is more, I think, love at first sight. But for instance, with the curation, we've tried to find people who are all passionate about what they're doing, more than necessarily people who have commercial success. So that's one thing with our. We have a few different international partners, and I actually just remember that we have more than I mentioned before. My boss would be the producer of the festival, where me and a woman named Sus run the festival. He's involved with Ars Electronica for reasons that work within the performing arts, and I work a lot with the Furtherfield Gallery from London, based on actually a collaborative concept that they've been working with, which is, yeah, I mean, they sort of like coined the term Devo in the beginning of 2000, which is do it with others, which is sort of like elaborating on DIY culture. And they come from sort of like a background based on hacking and free culture and open source philosophies. So I'd say that for us it's a very wide variety of collaborations based on different necessities, or I don't know if we can say it like that, but maybe yeah. But we definitely try to choose with the heart, if you could say it like that. Yeah, first and foremost.
Ilya, you would like to say something?
How did you feel that?
I just had this feeling that you are ready to.
Yeah, but I mean, like how?
Okay, because I work for many film festivals too, and I have this impression that we are in Poland. We somehow wait to see something new. So okay, last year we had this Spanish cinema. 2 seasons ago we had, like, I don't know, New Zealand cinema. Okay, what next? So this, there is a kind of a commercial value of bringing something new for your audience, and I wonder very often what is the focus on this one collaboration. What is the most important for the decision? Okay, now I'd like to cooperate with, I don't know, this country, yes, Ukraine.
I will talk about in Ukrainian collaboration, not international, because it's just an important moment, because we have started the documentary distribution in Ukraine. So it was our goal and our mission to do something profitable, not just spending somebody's money, but to make our own money, to put that in festival, of course, and to make a living of it, because you cannot do just fundraising all the time. So that was our dream, and we have just started, and we took some films that we screened at our festival, and some films that are just documentaries that we suppose that could be successful in distribution. And of course, when you distribute something, you need to find a place to screen it, and that is a problem. Most of Ukrainian cinemas are very not maybe retrograde, but they're very conservative and they don't like to risk. All Ukrainian businesses are they try to be very profitable, like 500%. And if you propose something that is not non-conventional, a documentary in the cinema, and we found this place in Kiev, this Zhovten Cinema, and they opened like 4 more rooms for screenings from beginning of their work, like 20 years ago. They found some small rooms and made the cinema halls of it, and just now they have been burned because they're situated in a very special place, here, just not far from here, like culturally lively district, and they have a long court history, because of course the Kiev municipal guys want to sell it to make some mall or something like that, and they have just burnt it. So this is how our successful collaboration actually stopped, and today in the evening there is going to be a concert on support of Zhovten Cinema, so all of you can come and donate something to restore it, and I'm sure it will be restored. And now we are looking for some other collaborations with other cinemas, and it's much harder, but we are going out of our comfort zone, and it makes us more aggressive and more I don't know, not curious, but intensive. Yes. So we found some other places, and we are looking for new places, and that's how it works. I don't know.
It's like hunting for a place.
Of course. And you should just persuade people sometimes and call them 10 times, and they just don't take phone.
but then it can be the beginning of a real collaboration.
Yeah, of course, everything can be the beginning of a real collaboration. Everything, every collaboration has its beginning, you know. And but you never know if it's gonna work this time. But I hope it will succeed.
Okay, Hannibal, if you could tell me what, in your opinion, can be a common goal for Syria, for United States, for Netherlands, in your case, in your project?
Personally speaking, or on the level festival?
Yeah, on the level of the festival, of course.
Yeah, okay. Well, festival, I worked in Syria for 10 years. I had two international festivals. We started from scratch. So I could have been in a panel yesterday how to make something out of nothing. We made a big band, we made a lot of culture change and learned the ways to survive and to learn that it's only for fun. There is no money involved. A lot of work for fun only to capitalize on what Carlson said yesterday. And that turned out to be a good basis for collaboration because, you know, there's no ego involved. You know, you just work to make fun and to bring people together for a good cause. So that's the first basis, personally speaking, making fun project. What is interesting is when we work in the region, we found that people find similar themes to work with. For example, to do collaboration between Western musician, Eastern musician, like everybody's trying to do in all fields. And we said, okay, we should somehow make a network, because the network is important, even though people have different opinion about music and different approach, different artists in mind. So we said, all right, we should make a network and make it possible to the point that people have changed their festival time and place to benefit from the network. So we had a festival in Jordan called Amman Jazz Festival, in Cairo called Cairo Jazz Festival. We moved the timing and made our festival in between because for funding reason, artistic reason, and touring reason. So if you go to Goethe Institute, for example, and say, we want this artist and they have 3 places in 3 countries, they'll take us more seriously. And also to capitalize on what you said yesterday, we don't want to be forced for certain artists to be funded by international foundations and embassy to have this input, to have more freedom to bring the artists we want. Sometimes we, like if I go to Hungary and Polish embassy, maybe they don't have fun, but if I involve them with Norwegian artists or German artists, then they would come. And this is, we'll have freedom and then we'll do our thing in our festival. So it's a really complicated process, it takes time, but everybody benefit in the network. This is how we do it. The same thing will work with Fallen, maybe like somebody else.
Okay, Michał, if I can ask you about your attitude, what common goals do you feel you can fulfill?
Yes, or my attitude or the institution
attitude of the institute.
Goals. Oh, that's too long, and I'm feeling like the institute is too big already for me to represent
okay,
all
so
the
please
points.
talk only about your personal work.
Well, my personal work starts from the passion, and there's a Berliner cool blog about music called Nothing But Hope and Passion, and I think this name is quite adequate to the music promoters, at least at the level like we are all more or less in here. So the passion is the engine that drives you to the places where you should be and to the people you should meet on your way. I can tell you that from my own experience. I just met people that were on my top list before the institute. So I think this is the most important part. Right now, considering where we are with promoting Polish music as an institution, the main goal is to get people together and find the common goals for them, because we are not really about defining what people should do. We are just trying to be a supporting platform. So as long as people don't have good ideas, we are nowhere. And we of course can generate the ideas, but the point is actually to provoke people to do that, and then come back to us and say, guys, we got this and that, maybe we could do something together. So I really appreciate all networking events, because this is where we bring our bands. We started from exporting bands to the networking events, like this formula of showcase / conference / networking. But it tends to be more and more important to get the people who are behind the bands and educate them to make things clear. So at this moment we also started to do kind of educational things in Poland, because we realized that promoting Polish culture abroad at this stage is more about doing things in Poland than do things internationally, because we need some partners on our way and our mission. And in one case we need to organize some workshops with them, like we do a series of workshops for music managers this year, and we're not allowed to do it before, because that was not in the range of our activities, but we try to push the borders in discussion with the ministry. The other thing is to get people involved in gatherings like this, because we started in 2008. We organized one of the first showcase events in Poland, and after a few years of experience, I realized it's easier to get 30 or 40 cool people from abroad, get them in the plane and bring them to Warsaw, and bring out people in the sleepwalkers who lives next door, and have everything for free. Because if you go for a networking event abroad, if you go to places like South by Southwest or Eurosonic, you need to pay. You pay for everything, for flights, for accommodations, for your daily expenses, and you buy the badge, which is sometimes up to $900 or something. But if you get it next door, just use the opportunity and come, because like from my perspective, personal contacts and the chemistry of the people is the crucial thing.
In the cooperation, we can also look for patrons, yes, for people we want to use for money, I would say, yeah. Of course, it's a kind of joke, but we need money from them, and we want to involve them to help us do our work. At least in Poland, it can be problematic, because we are afraid that maybe our patron would like us to do something we don't want to do, and this is a huge story, how to stay away from it, or maybe it's a possibility to cooperation on a on a good level in between us. So I wonder if you, Oliver, can say us if you have this kind of experience of work with commercial patrons, and what is your tactics for it?
No, it works. It's loose sometimes. I mean, we are also working with sponsors, but this tradition, I mean, like in comparison to North and South America, I mean, like in Europe, we don't really have this big tradition. So also, like in the mindset of quite a lot of companies who could give money, it's not really existing. Or especially German case, it's quite often that these huge companies have their private foundations. So, for example, there's the Siemens Foundation, there's the Allianz Foundation, there's the Volkswagen Foundation, there's the Group Foundation, and they all have their specific tasks, and also they like to develop their own programs. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you meet their expectations, then you could get a share of the cake. On the other side, of course, for the music business, of course, Red Bull is quite a thing. And especially when you have something like this kind of nightclub situation, of course, all these, I mean, for example, here probably if you get money from Finlandia because you don't sell any nice Ukrainian vodka, So this is like devastating in a way, but of course probably it's necessary because Finlandia has money. I mean, then you have to check. I mean, when we started our festival, it was like quite clear from the very first moment. I don't care about advertising one of these brands outside of the building, but definitely not inside, unless we find a cool way how to do it. And so I had quite, because I was then always like taking care of these sponsors, and I always had like these long, nice discussions about how, I mean, because like everybody knows that it's better to transmit the message in a way that is not too straight into your face, and also of course as we provide a high cultural intellectual approach to music, maybe our public might be offended if we slap them with the Pepsi logo in the face. So, I mean, and people, of course, understand it immediately because they conceived us as a little bit brainy and so, I mean, I used this prejudice to undermine their normal attitude. And I think, but it's quite often also like how the people in your, I mean, as you are not, when you're for example, Pepsi, we never collaborate with Pepsi, but let's say Pepsi as an example. I mean, normally they have representatives in your country. So, I mean, if in your country the mindset is like, okay, I understand this, then it's fine. But if it's not, if it's like, hey, it has to be crying out loud, so I have to, like here, I have to print my little brand on everything, then of course it's difficult. So you have to also train and educate your sponsors. And I mean, in Germany, there like in fine arts, there are sometimes people who are supporting artists, but definitely in the music business, there's no one who comes around and says like, oh, it's so amazing what you're doing. I give you now tons of private money. It's non-existing. It's like really. But as said, don't be afraid of working together with big companies. But like you have to guide them also, because you have the knowledge how things fit best in your events, and they also know this, and they need you and you need them. So you have to find this point of agreement, and then start from this point the discussion.
Mark, maybe you can add something to it. Did you have any experience in working with big companies or sponsors?
Well, the situation in Switzerland is quite similar to Germany, and Basel is kind of a special case in Switzerland because Basel has a huge art fair every year, maybe the biggest worldwide, I guess, Art Basel. And Basel also has the highest rate of foundations in Switzerland, which already has quite a high rate of foundations. And that's like a crucial thing to understand. Basically, the institution I work at is heavily funded by a private foundation from Basel. And there are some rich people who run their own foundations in Basel. But what they do is actually they host their own kind of things, like Schaulager in Basel, which is a huge art institution. Is run by Maya Uri, which is one of the of those families in Basel with a long history and money. So, and what I think happens more and more is that a lot of foundations do the same, what Oliver just mentioned for foundations of big companies, that they're trying to push their own kind of agenda, you know. And this is what I think is happening in Switzerland, that they're not reaching out and providing money, they're trying more and more to push their own agenda and curate their own events. And that's one thing I wanted to say. And the other is the music part is also really, it's really hard. in Switzerland. You have the big events, you get sponsors for those, like big pop concerts or whatever. But to really find a sponsor for a small venue with experimental music, I mean, you maybe get a local beer brewery or something, but there's no way you're going to have like a big sponsorship for those kind of events.
Okay. It's so hard to speak about money, especially in English. So I asked Margot to translate а показати від українською. У нас дві цікаві ситуації з приводу грошей. По-перше, це ситуація з клоузером, і друга, як працюємо ми з Ксеною, як заробляємо власне.
There are two different situations with dealing with money in this space. One is about Closer itself, and another is about Ksenia and Ola as an OK project.
Лекції про музику, про мистецтво та про кіно у нас безкоштовні, так само як і вхід на кіно і до наших галерей також безкоштовні.
We also are running lections about art, music and cinema, and all of those events are for free, as well as you can get for free to the gallery they are running.
Але тут є вечірки і є концерти, на які вход коштує певну суму, і частина заробітків з цих концертів також йде на наші безкоштовні івенти.
So also in this space there are some parties held, and money that are earned on these parties partly financing girls projects.
А також у нас є бар, і це також нам допомагає.
Bar helps us a lot.
So if you want to help us, please come and dance and come and drink. Це перша частина.
This is the first part.
І також є у нас контракт, де ми робимо в одній великій компанії виставки в офісі.
Let me talk about this. We have one client because everybody in Kiev who knows us, they're interested how we live, because all projects what we make here are not commercial, so they're interested. And now it's secret, it will not be a secret anymore. So we have one client. It's a tobacco company, Japan Tobacco Incorporated. It's our we in our country we have a very cruel law for tobacco companies. They are not allowed to make any commercial, no advertising at all. They are not even allowed to pay money for museum or for gallery to support without advertising. They are not allowed to pay at all. But they want to support contemporary art in Ukraine, young artists, and they made a tender to have some agency to manage this philanthropic project, and also to inspire their people in the office. So we make exhibitions of contemporary artists in their office space, and also mention a philanthropic program, which is our favorite part, because we choose artists, we choose what way to support them, and so on. And this is how we live. And so that's why we have an opportunity to have all these non-profit projects here, because everyone needs to eat something. We had only one sponsor here, Jack Daniels, you can see. Because we didn't have money to buy chairs, so they bought the chairs for us. So, this is it.
Okay. Tomek, proszę.
Sometimes choose the sponsors is a moral choice, because that situation with some politic in Ukraine who want to support us, because was opposite politic Yanukovych regime, and he had pro-European foundation, and it was Petro Poroshenko now the president. But from the start, it was not a good idea to cooperate with some politics. But Poroshenko was opposite and pro-European, and we prepared a tour, big tour for Ukraine, and suddenly 2 weeks before our tour, President joined. Poroshenko joined to pro-Yanukovych government, and we called to the Yanukovych, and we thinking about what we do, because 2 weeks before tour everything was prepared, and we chose. Our choice was let's play. It's not easy choice, but I think we saw ourselves. But our audience, big audience in Ukraine, because sometimes on our concert was 1,000 people. And, they waited for us, but it's not. That was not good, but now I think it's we have to cancel.
So you regretted that you decided to play.
We played, but
okay, so
you can now this president and president of, but who knows what will be in the future. Maybe it's like will be like Yushchenko or Yanukovych. Who knows?
So the advice is to be careful for politics. Yes. So yeah, theoretically it's clear, but in every case it can be something different.
Yeah, but okay, yes, I completely agree, and I can only imagine how difficult this could get. But what what adds to the complexity of the whole thing is like that often, for me, Red Bull, for example, is a perfect example that some agencies are not that transparent in all those kind of questions, and to be in a mindset to say, yeah, this one is okay, and tobacco company is not okay, but that company is okay. From my point of view, things tend to get more and more complex, and like to be decisive to say, yeah, this is okay and that's not okay, they can get difficult more and more, I think, just to...
Okay, so now the difficult question to you, Michał, because the Adam Mickiewicz Institute cancelled one of the seasons, cultural seasons. So if you could tell us more, describe, because probably the situation is not, well known, why and what are the reasons of that decision?
Well, basically, it's not us who's making the decision, but it's truly and totally on the political level. But I just had a conversation about it. We had a cultural season in Russia in 2015, planned many years advanced, and then the shit started to happen, and we started to have a big question mark: should I stay or should I go? Simple. And the first initial idea was we should do it no matter what. Like, we should do this cultural season in Russia, keep it as far away from politics as possible, because the contacts, the connections is the true value of and the true reason to do that. I mean, maybe we're idealists, but that was this way of thinking, okay, if we're gonna lose this 1 year, we're gonna lose the next 5 or 6 years. Like, if we're gonna freeze the connections, the exchange going and appearing, we're gonna lose more than just this cultural season. We're gonna lose another few years. And so that was the motivation to keep going. But then, I recently been to countries like Belarus and Estonia, and I met a lot of people from the region, and I started to realize how complicated it is and how much impossible it is to go forward with this idea without, like, hurting anyone on the way. And it started to be like impossible figure to go with. So that's how it looks from my point of view. But really, honestly, the decision was not up to us because it's been done on the other level. So
the level of Ministry of Culture.
I think more ministries involved in that. Yeah, Ministry of Foreign Affairs in first place. And yeah, and technically the most of the directions which are coming to Adam Mickiewicz Institute, the geographical priorities, that's what it's called. It's coming to us not from the Ministry of Culture, but from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Ministry of Economy. Somehow, we're trying to combine this with our strategies that we have within our the music and theater, etc., etc., etc. Sometimes we do something completely opposite to those strategies, to those geographical priorities too. Yeah. And there was another idea on the way, just to let you know how the things looks from the kitchen side, from the back side. There was also an idea coming from, no one knows where from, like to combine. Like to cancel the cultural season in Russia, but do something instead which was based upon the idea of combining Russians, Ukrainians, and Poles doing joint projects, especially based in Poland. And it was kind of hard to convince anyone that this has no political background. I mean, I wouldn't say it would be impossible because I already found the partners who were, like, we find a way how to make it a clear way, but again, the idea from my point of view was kind of devilish, and but it's not going to happen anyway. So, and the reaction of the Russian side, the first reaction about the canceling the season is, okay, we're going to do more events, even more events in Poland the next year. That was the initial communique we got.
Yeah, almost in the same time. It happened, manifesto problem, another problem in art world, and of course many artists, many curators just resigned, but some of them stayed and cooperate to communicate with people in Russia, to convince people that it's important to have this conversation. And not stop it. I wonder what is your attitude to it, Oliver?
Yeah, as Michał already said, nothing is black and white. So I had, just before coming here, I had a conversation with a guy who's working at the theater in Berlin, and he's a quite big fan of Crimea. So he was doing also a festival there in 2006 and 2008. And he said, yeah, he loves Crimea. And he said, yeah, but the question is, I mean, if there are more than 80% Russians living on Crimea, then you have to give it back. Because, like, people don't want to be Ukrainian. I mean, and then you think like, yeah, but it was the right way to do it. And then, of course, it was probably not the right way to do it because there was a lot of pressure, blah, blah, blah. So there's no black and white. And also, like, we are at the moment preparing a sort of activity in Siberia. So I especially call it Siberia, not to call it Russia. Also with the Goethe Institute. And it's always the big question. I mean, let's say there are also from our network quite a lot of festivals. I mean, after all these Chinese experiences, so of course now there is the Russian time. So there are whatever, 2 days art, Russia, future everything, Russia, blah blah Russia. And let's say, as a NGO, I would say, okay, I can save myself on the level of, okay, I want to meet the normal people there who are doing their artistic work, and by presenting our position, by being there and discussing, maybe I can trigger a little bit of change, like new ideas. Of course, as a state institution, this is of course a completely different picture. And then of course with the manifesto, these are harsh, but let's say the two curators who were working on it, they were really stupid. So because they let's say in this art world, it's quite often, I mean, if let's say this kind of art world is definitely not political. They would like to be political, but they're not. They're somehow in their own spheres. And of course, let's say the main two people who worked on this manifesto, as like the figureheads of this manifesto, are in the middle of this art circuit. And let's say like this probably would have been losing their faces, like to say, okay, no, we don't do it. And of course, probably, I mean, it's not really interesting. Of course, they have to deal with it, but on the other side, I mean, it's such a prestigious thing to do. And probably you're also then in another conflict, in a let's say, professional conflict of you have this prestigious position, and then you have to have the guts, like, to decide not to do it. I mean, there were manifestos that were not realized, like what was Cyprus, where they were like trying to do something and then somehow it failed, and then they found another solution. There they pushed it through. Were like promoting like this wonderful space of the Hermitage. Nice, of course, but under these circumstances also a little bit naive to do it like this. So I think that nobody would criticize it. And of course, it's a little bit of pity, because like this kind of art world sometimes does not like to take a standpoint, and especially not a political one, because it could always be criticized, and that's the last thing you want to do, because you could risk your wonderful jobs and your art career.
I'm sure, Susanna, you know something about it, yes? Because you are working, yeah, we can say you work in your own place, and you are independent with your artists, with your exhibitions, with your performance festival or film festival at your place, but you are also a part of a bigger picture. Yes, can you imagine yourself being involved in a, this complicated situation like that?
No, it's not complicated, but it's difficult, and we fight with artists. So, just talking about connections, and for us, for me, we start like idea. This foundation was funded by artists and provided by artists and financial artists. They store everything and they are very happy with this. So we start by recommendation, because they work for 40 years like artists, and they know another artist, and another artist recommend institution, independent institution, galleries. And so, of course, we cooperate with Instytut Mickiewicza, Ministry of Culture, huge grant from Europe, because renovation is not cheap. But we are a small organization, and what I can say more, the connections are the base for us, because so huge place needs artists, needs international knowledge, because in meetings with the curators or more artists, and because you cannot choose the new interesting artist, musician, performers. So I think, and where I am here is very important for me, because the most important is to meet people and try to develop our ideas and this specified kind of art. And learn English more.
That can be useful too. Hannibal, can you tell us how do you deal with politics in your work, in your festival?
Well, try to avoid it as much as possible because you are surrounded with politics. Television, radio, war, whatever. So avoid it as much as possible.
Is it possible?
It is. Yeah, right now, you try, mentioned Crimea, I saw that negative energy floating in the wind. Yeah. Avoid it, kind of. Yeah.
Okay, Susanna, would you like to add something?
We are independent, yes, but it's not true because one bad decision, political decision, can completely destroy our hard work, infrastructural work. Yes, it's really hard because I met Minister Zdrojewski and he helped me really.
Polish minister, former Polish minister of culture.
But I knew for marszałek, for czterech marszałków, for this another decision of government. And they completely they change so quickly. Each year for new person, so it's impossible to so it's hard because we are in political environments these days.
Okay, so talking about money, talking about politics, we are now at the point to talk just a little bit. I know we are so many here and we have so less time left, but I really want to ask you, especially people who organize festivals that are some events that change every year, and of course money and politics change every year, and the festival tries to remain the same. Yeah, it's hard. So my question would be, maybe first to Hannibal, how to remain the same in your heart as a festival, besides the politics and besides your budget that 1 year is bigger, 1 year is less?
Well, first try to be as much as honest as possible to what I'm trying to achieve. I'm a dreamer, so I want to stay forever. I want to build castle in the air and dream about it, so that's my third goal. And then how to give it gold and have a place, you need to do all the tricks and apply and plan ahead for several years, and then network. So this is what we're talking about. Network is money, is artistic. You work with the others and you say, all right, there's this artist, we can bring it at a certain time and we can apply together, and then you keep your core ideas there, so you don't compromise. That's important. And then you think of a long term. Sometimes and you project your project as a long term. Sometimes it can go big, sometimes it can go smaller, but in the mind of people, they know that you are going for something, regardless of how big or small or effective or small audience or big audience. So that's a survivalist approach. It's not like in Berlin or Switzerland and Denmark. That's a different approach. We're coming from survivalist culture. So we do the same thing in this great meeting. To think about in Eastern countries, they have less money, so if networking is important. Networking not only in artistically, also in the material, like sound and light, space, chairs, and that's all, that's how it works. And then also, like in our network now in the Middle East, people take us more seriously. When we go to a governmental meeting or, foreign services, they take us more seriously. So, it's a country talking to each other, talking to us. So that's part of it. And that's for the case to be politically independent. That's important because you think about survival for a long term. In other ways, money-wise, how do you do that with, for us, is really trying to be creative. So I always look for ideas how people do crowdfunding. How do you do, like we're talking to a band here, Cloud Jam. I said, how do we make it to Europe? It's very difficult. Well, we start searching for a creative idea to do crowdfunding, like maybe reach Ukrainian somewhere and then start to think about something, because you are survivalists, right? You know, it's like, oh, visa problem, then a concert, how do you start? You know, so it's tough. So creative ideas comes from networking, talking to people. I learned so much in this meeting in terms artistically. I talked to many people about artistic ideas and also how to get funding and how to make it. So this is how I do try to do it.
We have a very good feelings about networking. You are right, 100%. We make festival about environmental art and land art every year. We don't have any sponsors or even crowdfunding. We do networking, so we have lights, we have sound, we have a lot of people, we have a media, because when you make a good content, every media will write about it. It's simple and really networking rules.
So the other thing is networking in music festival, not necessarily between music festival. We did something really nice with theater festival and the film festival, where we share visibility. All festivals have lots of visibility: television, radio, ad, the magazine you produce, whatever. And then you put ad for the other festival, and then that's money right there. And also we go to a theater festival and say, this festival, this theater is burned, so I go to another festival and say, can you, when you bring your artists, be there and do crowdfunding for the festival, rather than just like maybe the whole work. You go to other festivals and work with them. So also, not in the same sector, different sector can help.
Talking about politics and management of a cultural event, first of all, our decision is to be independent. We don't take any money from the state, so we are kind of free of any ethical issues after any change of political situation, because we just suppose that this is the best decision not to not to collaborate in this corrupted schemes. Yeah. But also talking international in politics, all of us here are in the state of war, even though not everybody realized it yet. And it's not only Ukraine is in war, because we know something like Third World War, and any decision in this term are political. It cannot be, there is no unpolitical art. Even though you can try to be, you always play in somebody's game, and it's just your decision whose game you are going to play. You just can choose or just not to participate. That's the thing. I was talking about Russian international policy. They're very successful in international cultural policy. They're very active in Poland, of course. They were doing this big Russian film festivals and Russian culture festivals. There was a year of Russia in Poland. It's not just in Poland. They're doing it all over the world. And they're very good in international events like Olympic Games, like UEFA Cup, like this event, Manifesta, because they have money and they steal it from their people and they use it in their propaganda machine, and they're much more effective than even German during the Second World War in their propaganda. I mean, it's not time to think about so you can help their people if you just come and talk, because your face, your activity will be used in this war. Because information war is so hard, so unfortunately it's not the time for political decisions. And talking about our situation with our festival, because we are making the festival in a small city, so we collaborate with the mayor. The mayor is not he's a political person in the city, of course, but he is also an executive power, so it's not really. And we also don't take money from them, but we collaborate in some services. They give us something for free, and they help us to organize everything in networking. But as well, we have been fundraising money. Last year when we applied for I3 Foundation that is run by Akhmetov, that is like the main oligarch in Ukraine that gets like all the money, all our money. And when we applied, everything was still calm. And when we get the money, the situation became tough, and that was a hard ethical decision for us to take this money and to do the things. But this year we don't apply, even though we know that's the easiest way, and we have a very good history of collaboration. And I think as well, because he took some very uncertain position in this conflict on the east, because he has all his money on the east, from the east. So sometimes I think it's even better not to do something and to do this political decision than to compromise.
Thank you very much. I think we were waiting for this kind of analyze from your side. Because coming here we are maybe not so much aware of different mechanisms going around.
Not really respond to that, but add to that. I think talking about collaboration, international, and especially being here, I think and the inability to be not political at the moment. I think the term translation comes to mind, and for me, translation doesn't mean that I can read and understand everything that's happening, but also to be aware that there's different kind of perspectives, and translation also in collaboration, to get on a certain level where you actually discuss with each other, not only on the level of language, but to get to the point where you start to work together on certain issues. So I think translation in that way could be a political practice also, and a practice that tries to, as a Swiss guy, that's kind of our thing, right? To have those different perspectives and to also that there's discrepancies and conflicts and different opinions, to let that, not to try to streamline that, but to work on that and to see it as a potential. I think that is as a way of collaboration, I think is, especially in a situation like now, crucial to work on. Yeah.
No, Switzerland. They're too. No, but I think this kind of course, first of all, what I learned due to corporations and networking, that of course the world is colorful, if you like it or not. So, and what I really like is, this is quite easily shown when you have these, corporations are always pointing out to this bilateral things, but I think it's quite easy level. But I think what is then getting interesting and where it's really getting fun to cooperate is when you have more than 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 countries involved. If you have a bunch of people who are from different backgrounds, and that really gets interesting. So they can start a critical discussion and also figure out how to let things stay where they are, and also try to convince people that they maybe could also look on it in a different way, as you also could do it. So it's learning about yourself and learning about others. And I think this is the greatest gift we have, actually not with Switzerland, but with the European Union. So to mention this for a second, that we have the chance to explore this situation and also to experience it in a safe environment. So, of course, you are also cooperating with 3 different countries, but probably, I don't know how the problems are between them, but there are probably big problems also, and they are not in an entity that Yeah, exactly. So it's like we have like this kind of incubator situation, European Union, where you can really, in a nice way and safe environment, I would say, experiment. And of course, everything is political also there. And of course, probably we are the more lucky ones at the moment because our governments are not. I mean, of course, there's always corruption. You can never deny there will always be prostitutes. There will always be thieves. So things that always will exist in this world, you can't forbid that it will be there, but definitely our governments are a little bit probably more constructive in that sense, and that's of course why you have to take a standpoint here. On the other side, I mean, they're elected, I mean, you are a citizen, and I mean, you already have shown it that you can change stuff, and even if it's if it's a little bit stressful situation, like always have to with fallbacks. But I admire this stamina, like to say, okay, oh, let's go for it again. So even if maybe it takes another 10 years until something changes, but it's like this little punching and it moves stuff. And this is, I think, also like with corporations, that we are sitting here is also, of course, a sign of support. But it's not a sign of not acknowledging also other perspectives.
Okay, thank you for being so cooperative in this discussion. Okay, this is our last chance for our audience. If you would like to add any comment or question, you are very welcome to be a part of this discussion. Or if you prefer to talk after our public meeting and to exchange ideas or cooperate, you are welcome. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to talk to you all. And I'm very happy to be together, and I hope that we can continue this conversation tonight. Okay, thank you very much, and yeah, let's go to each